Levi here, the Outdoor Cowboy, and welcome back to the Outdoor Cowboy YouTube channel. We're going to be spending a couple days at our off-grid cabin. We're going to be preparing for winter, building a structure, cutting firewood, clearing trees, eating delicious food, and just enjoying the beautiful nature. So let's jump into it and saddle up for the ride. Well, welcome to the off-grid cabin. Super excited to be here. Just gorgeous up here in the fall, just changing colors and stuff. And it's a little chilly right now, but it's really refreshing, so no complaints here. And the drive took us a little longer than we wanted to, so we don't have a ton of time tonight. And it's only 4:30 right now, but the sun sets in literally an hour, so we're gonna see how much we can get done tonight. We'll work till the sun goes down, and then we'll wake up early tomorrow morning and see how much more we can get done before we gotta head out. So should be a great time. Got some fun projects, kind of just getting ready for winter. The main thing is I want to build a storage for some of our firewood. And this is just like fallen trees and random wood, stuff like that. And usually we just like kind of toss a tarp over it, but the tarp is just getting shredded. And I would just love a better place to store our wood for the winter so it doesn't get wet. So I think on this side of the cabin right here, I just want to build a little shelter. I have a couple random pieces of metal left and stuff, and this big tarp's over a bunch of siding and stuff. So we'll get this cleaned up eventually, but we're going to use some of these metal pieces to make a little roof over our shelter. And then we just brought a little bit of wood and stuff to do it. And it's just going to be pretty simple. We can make it better in the future if we want, but I just wanted to get something. It already snowed up here once, and tonight it'll get well below freezing. And it's only the first week of November, so I want to get as much done as we can while we're up here before it snows again and gets all of our wood wet. And then another thing that I'm hoping to do tomorrow morning is up the hill a little bit from the cabin. There's a big tree that fell over, kind of a path that we normally walk on. And we have a tree stand up there for hunting. And so I'm hoping to be able to take a chainsaw up there and cut the tree up and make it into a bunch of firewood. So we're going to hopefully be able to do that tomorrow morning. I doubt we'll have time tonight because we got to get started on building our shelter first off, because that's most important. But hopefully tomorrow morning we'll be able to run up there, cut the tree up into a bunch of pieces, and just have it for some great firewood, but also clear the path because we've had to climb over this tree. So it's pretty big. We'll see how much we can cut through it and carry them down. We might take the truck up there. Kind of a steep hill, but we should be able to make it up there. That would make it a lot easier on us. So that's kind of the plans while we're here, and just hang out, enjoy being out here in the middle of nowhere and just loving it. And we got some good food as well. So should be a great time while we're here, and thanks for coming along. So let's get started on building our little wood shelter. So we go get the wood out of the back of the truck, come over here, clean up, and get building. So let's do it. And if you can see, the hydraulics on the window failed, so this is our current hydraulic. It may just look like a piece of wood, but it's really just a really high-tech hydraulic that holds the window open. So if anyone's looking for a lightly used tarp, got one for sale. So put your bids down in the comment. There's really no holes in it, so it's basically brand new. And we're just going to be making a super simple structure. I got just some standard 8-foot 2x4s, so the length of our structure is going to be 8 feet. So that means our 4 top and bottom rails are already cut for us. So that'll be perfect. And then we're going to make it about 4 feet tall. We'll dig it into the ground a little bit so it won't be like exactly 4 feet tall, but our supports will be about 4 feet, so we can just cut them in half. And then it's going to be about 2 feet wide, so we can just cut these into fourths. So tried to make it as simple as possible, easy to make. and it will work with our roof with some overhang for it. So should be perfect for us. We'll screw it all together, and we're actually going to set it a little bit away from the cabin. We have our ground for our solar panel right there, so we don't want to touch that, but we want to keep it a little bit away just for the fact if there's any like termites. We get a lot of ants up here that infest the wood. Like you can just see this piece of wood right here just got attacked by termites and ants and stuff. So we're just going to set it like a foot away from the cabin in case the wood gets infested. We don't want them to have easy access to the cabin. Obviously the cabin is on the ground, so if they really wanted to, they absolutely could, but just an extra precaution just to keep us safe. So we got our safety glasses, so let's get cutting up some wood and then we'll get building. All right, there's our 4-foot supports. All right, and then there's a bunch of 2-foot supports. And we have an extra board, we'll just keep it in case we need it somewhere as a brace or something like that. So. All right, we got all the easy stuff cut. Now we're gonna cut our big particle board. And this guy is 4 feet by 8 feet, so we're just gonna cut it in half, and it will give us a floor and then a roof support under our tin roof, just to be a little bit stronger and just to hold it together a little bit. So should be good. I also forgot a chalk line, so we're gonna be sharpieing the whole thing, kind of freehanding it. But that's right, it doesn't have to be perfect. And at the end, if this thing isn't perfect, it's because the wood's not straight. So just keep that in mind. All right, just like that, got our plywood cut, so let's get to building. All right, we got like both of the side frames made, so I just put 1 screw in each corner so it can still rotate, just because we're on a hill and I want it to look nice and have a slant on the top, but I wanted the sides to be upright. So we're gonna put it like this, get it pretty much straight up and down, and then we'll put more holes in it to lock it in, and then we'll start putting it together and they'll be looking awesome. All right, there we go, just like that, way sturdier. So do it to the other side, we'll start tying them together. All right, we got both our frames done and they're pretty sturdy, so won't move back and forth too much. And we'll add some bracing in after as well, so it'll be even better. Alrighty, now my wonderful wife is gonna help us tie these together, just so she'll hold them on, and then I'll put our 2-foot pieces on the end to give it some structure. We'll throw the plywood on, and then we're just about done. So it's going awesome. All right, just as it's getting dark, we got the whole frame made, so I think we'll just throw one of our pieces of plywood on top for now and kind of just be done for the night. It's coming together super well. I'm super happy with it. It's really sturdy with the roof on it and the plywood, it'll be super good. And then tomorrow we'll get it finished and hopefully go cut some of that tree up. But we'll just take some of the wood we have, cut it up into smaller pieces and get it set here to keep it out of the rain. So I think we're good tonight. There is not a cloud in the sky. It's just gorgeous out right now, a really pretty sunset. So can't complain about that. And our wood and our shelter will be totally safe tonight. So we don't have to worry about getting the roof on, but we'll do that tomorrow. And then we have some RTV, just some gasket stuff that will rub on the holes that we make so stuff doesn't leak through. And we'll make sure to overlap them a pretty good amount so that rainwater can run off of it. But super happy with it so far. It looks great. So let's get a few more things added on tonight, and then we'll have some dinner, hit the hay, and then tomorrow morning we'll continue working. So let's do it. I think I'll be all right. All right, plywood fit there perfectly, so looks really good. It's pretty square and straight for iron ball and everything, so it's looking great. And for the other piece of plywood, I forgot that I did it so these supports are on the inside, so we're gonna have to cut little 4-inch squares out of both of them, but we'll do that real quick. It should fit. And then I think we're gonna take our spare board and just make a big cross beam that can go from this corner to that corner on both sides, just to keep it from rocking at all. So that should be good. Once we get it dug in the ground, it'll be really sturdy. So, and in the future, we could like cement this into the ground or something if we want to make it bigger or anything like that. Really, anything could work. It's pretty sturdy. We got 7/16" plywood, so it's pretty sturdy stuff. It's gonna hold our wood pretty well, and our 2x4s are strong and not too far away. So maybe we'll do some strengthening in the future, but for now, I think it'll be perfect. All right, we got those supports cut, so we'll put those just as a cross member here. Then I'm gonna take some of our extra 2-foot boards, and we're just gonna do some cross members in the middle, just to support the weight a little bit better. If we had this thing completely full, it probably will have a couple 100 pounds of wood, so should get pretty heavy, and we have a couple extra of these left. So we're just gonna cut a couple inches off the end of these so that they'll fit inside, and just put a screw in each side. So we'll get these cut, we'll get our plywood cut, and we'll throw these in, and then throw our plywood in, and we'll be pretty much all done with the building of it, and I'm super happy with how it turned out. This will be awesome for us. So we'll throw those floor ones in so we can put our plywood on top of it, and then we'll throw our cross members on and our plywood on. So did a little more than we said we were, but had some light, so we're doing good, and I'm super happy with how this is turning out. All right, support bars are in, so let's throw our plywood in there. All right, just like that, nice snug fit, and could even work as a bunk bed if you really wanted it to, so maybe we'll sleep out here sometime, but for now we'll just keep it as a wood shelter. All right, we got our floor all in. Now we're gonna throw some of these cross members on, and pretty much done. It's looking awesome. All right, just like that, we got it all done. Super sturdy, not going anywhere, and we'll dig it into the ground tomorrow morning and throw our roof panels on. So super happy with how it turned out. Whipped it together super quick, but this thing will hold a ton of firewood. Once we get the roof on it, it'll be rain and snow proof. And this isn't like a super steep angle, so there might be some snow piled up on it, but shouldn't be a big deal. And it should be close enough that it should all slide off. So we'll get that screwed on tomorrow morning, and we'll wrap it up for tonight. So super happy with how it turned out. Again, it's super sturdy, super strong, and has the potential to hold a lot of firewood, and I think it just looks great. So this will keep our firewood nice and dry during the winter. We'll just clean up around here. I think we'll go get a fire started, and then we'll have some dinner and kind of wrap it up for the night. It's getting late, and it is pretty much pitch black out here right now, so we'll wrap it up for the night. It's also getting chilly. It's probably 35 degrees right now, and only gonna get colder, so we'll wrap it up. But definitely go get yourself some Outdoor Cowboy merch. Keeping me warm in all my construction and work I'm doing over here. So it's just awesome stuff. Love it. And remember that a portion of all proceeds goes to support some awesome organizations that are helping to protect our outdoors. And there's not much more we can ask for. So super happy about that. Proud to donate some of the proceeds from Outdoor Cowboy merch. So go pick some up. It looks awesome. It's super soft, super comfortable, super durable, and it goes to helping a great cause. So win-win all around. Chunks. All right, well, just building just a classic log cabin. A little lopsided, but that's all right. Now let's take one of our homemade fire starters, some Vaseline and a cotton ball. We'll get it lit, just like that, and then drop her down in there. Make sure this starts real quick. All right, we got us a fire going and it's giving us some nice warmth, so that's great. And for dinner, we got a simple one, but one of my favorites. We got a tube of smoked summer sausage, and then we just got some cheese and crackers as well. And summer sausage is one of my favorite things. It just tastes super good, and I just love to eat it. It never tastes bad. We love to make summer sausage when we get a deer, just because people don't necessarily like the gamey flavor. And so turning it into a summer sausage is a great way to kind of balance some spices, but also the deer flavor. So we're just gonna sit here on the fire and have some summer sausage, and it'll be delicious. Stabbed right into it. Oh yeah, that right there is the winning bite. Little Ritz cracker with some cheese and some summer sausage. That right there is so delicious. All right, then we've also got our pan, and we're gonna put some water in here. We're gonna make some hot chocolate first, and then the rest of our water I'm gonna throw under our Nalgene, which has an outdoor cowboy sticker, which is sweet. And this is gonna go in my wife's sleeping bag just to keep her warm. So we'll get some water heating up for some hot chocolate, and then we'll do the warm water bottle trick that goes in your sleeping bag, keeps you warm all night. All right, our fire's just dying out and our water's just getting right about to boiling. So we'll pull it off, get some hot chocolate, and then we'll fill up our Nalgene and wrap it up for the night and be ready for bed. And we both have these Stanley mugs. We love them. We've had them for a little while. They have like a nice little lid with a little place to sip right there. And they're just awesome. They're insulated and they keep stuff super warm. So they're kind of our designated hot chocolate mugs. So that's what we're going to be using. I'll take the dirt. Throw the lid on, just like that. Delicious cup of hot chocolate for my wife. All right, and then our last necessity is get a warm water bottle for my wife. So we boiled some more water. And again, go get yourself an outdoor cowboy sticker. They're super high quality stickers and just look awesome. So we'll pour some of this in here. Just like that, right at the tippy top. We'll close this up. It's already getting super warm, and we'll go toss this in my wife's sleeping bag, and this will stay warm pretty much all night. So that'll be perfect. Alrighty, it is getting late. Had a delicious dinner of that summer sausage. Would definitely recommend it. It's super good. Even just like the stuff at Walmart is really good. So just a great snack or a great dinner, but we're gonna get headed to bed. Awesome stuff today, even with a couple hours of light and then a couple hours in the dark as well. We got our whole structure built, so excited tomorrow to finish that and do a couple other things with it. But we got our hot cocoa, warm water bottles in the sleeping bag, warming it up. And we got the outdoor cowboy blanket, which is actually super soft. We love it. Take it pretty much everywhere because it's super nice. So we'll be plenty warm tonight and should sleep super good. So we are gonna hit the hay, get rested for tomorrow. It's super late, so thanks for coming along today, and we'll see you guys in the morning. Well, good morning. It's a beautiful morning out here, just clear skies. Just some really pretty colors coming over the mountains. The sun's about half an hour away from peeking over the mountains, but we got enough light to get out here, so we're gonna get started on some projects. We stayed plenty warm last night, which was super good because it's about 25, 28 degrees right now. So pretty chilly. The ground's all frozen and stuff, so it got really cold out here, but we stayed plenty warm in there, so no complaints there. My wife's still asleep, so we're gonna have breakfast here in a little bit, which we got chocolate muffins for breakfast, so can't ever go wrong with that. But we'll do that in a little bit. We're gonna finish up our little wood shelter, and then we're gonna start loading up with wood and just seeing how much we can get done. We just have a couple hours up here before we gotta get headed home, so we'll get as much done as we can, but we'll be back here soon for sure. So let's get going. All right, got our awesome structure here. Super happy with how it turned out. First thing is we're just gonna build some little holes, and then we'll just drop it down into it. So we'll move it just a little away from the cabin, and there'll be about a 6-inch or a foot gap between our structure and the cabin, which I think will be perfect. So we'll dig those, and then we'll get the roof on, and then we'll be all done. So that's awesome. All right, that looks perfect. That's a great height. We'll just fill these holes back in. And like I said, at some point in the future, we could probably cement this into the ground if we were having problems, but It's really sturdy right now. I bet this thing probably weighs maybe 100 or 150 pounds, so it's got some weight to it, and it's really sturdy, really stable. And then once we throw wood on it, it'll just weigh even more, so I don't think we'll have any issues with it. So that looks great. That'll be just enough to dig into the ground, so let's get our roof thrown onto it. All right, I think just about right there will be good. We got about a 2 or 3 inch overhang there, 2 or 3 inch on the end, and then about a 2-inch overlap here as well. So I don't think we should have any issues, so we'll get this screwed down. And this is just some scrap roof that I had. I didn't really want to buy some more. It'll work perfect for us just to repurpose this, so this will be awesome. And even though it may not look the prettiest, it'll work just as good as a brand new piece of roof will. So we'll get this guy screwed in and we'll be all done here. All right, just like that, we got it all screwed on, and it's super sturdy, so it'll be awesome. I'm just gonna take some of this gasket maker and fill in the holes we just made, and then there's a couple other like random holes as well from its past use. I'm not really sure, so we're gonna fill those in so water won't leak through the holes, but we should be good. Should be totally waterproof. We got good overhang on all the sides, and so this should work perfect for us. And it's obviously too cold for this stuff to dry right now, but it should get up to about 50 today, which should be warm enough, especially in the sun, for this to dry. So we should be good. All right, just like that, we got all the holes filled, so we should be totally waterproof now. So now it's time for it to do its job, so let's get to putting some wood in there. Here's the final product here. Like I said, 8 feet wide, about 4 feet tall, and then about 2 feet wide. So looks pretty nice. Again, some of it's repurposed and stuff, but that's how you gotta do stuff sometimes. So this will be awesome. And we can finally start going through this pile of wood here that's just been sitting here in the weather, in the rain, through our ripped up tarp. So let's start cleaning this guy up, and we'll get over here and start filling up our wood shelter. And we're gonna cut some of this wood in half, so I'm just moving it down there, and then we'll get the chainsaw out, cut it all in half, and get it all loaded in there. All right, well, let's start getting our wood loaded up in here. We'll have to cut a bunch of these, but we'll grab the chainsaw in a little bit. All right, well, I think that looks great. I love that. We got all our wood cleaned up around here. Now it's all waterproof, stacked nicely, cut to a good size, so when we're ready to use some of these logs, we can just chop them real quick and use them as tinder or the fuel for our fire. So that's just awesome. I'm super happy with how this turned out. So, all right, well, now I think we're gonna head up the hill a little bit. Like I said, there's a trail that wraps up, and we have a tree stand up there, and a big tree fell in front of the trail. So usually we ride like 4-wheelers and stuff up through the trail and our UTV, and we're not able to right now. So let's hike up there with our chainsaw and cut that tree up. We'll just cut it into rounds for now, the size that'll fit in here, because we could probably fill up our entire thing with wood from there, but we'll go up there, cut that into rounds, and then later we can cut it into smaller pieces and it'll fill up our wood super nice. So let's get headed on up there and go clear that tree from the road. Just walking through this trail here, and there are just a ton of animal tracks, bunch of deer, bunch of elk, so I love to see that. They love to go to the ponds that we have on the property. On the ponds, there's just tons of tracks around them, and that's where they go for drinking, so it's awesome to have wildlife. I love having it this close, and I love just being in an environment where the animals are close to us. It's just amazing. All right, here's the tree I was talking about that fell down in the middle of this pathway, so we're gonna cut a bunch of branches off and then just cut some sections out of it. So this will make great firewood, so we'll cut it up smaller and put it into our new wood shelter. But for now, I at least just want to clear a path so we can get four-wheelers and UTVs and stuff through here. So let's get to cutting. And always remember your safety gear, especially when you're working with chainsaws. There are lots of accidents that can happen with chainsaws, and they're usually pretty harmful. So be super careful anytime you're working with any power tools, because they can be great and help a lot unless they cause you harm. So wear your safety gear, be smart. All right, just like that, this looks great. This will be plenty wide enough for us to get through, so we got that cleared out, and we got some awesome firewood. This stuff will burn super good. You can see just how close these rings are together and how many of them are. Just means it's really dense wood, and it'll just burn super great. Obviously, it'll take some time to dry out. It's still pretty wet, it got sap and stuff in it, but this will turn into great wood. And it's just so cool to look into these and just imagine the life of this tree, because all right, I counted 44 rings is how many I had, and it's just cool to see how close some of them are together, but how far some of them are apart. So that time it grew a lot, and just how dark and light some of them are. And it's just super cool to think about. Just this tree lived for around 45 years. I'm not exactly sure. That's just how many rings I could count. And then obviously it fell down when it got super windy last year, and it lived a good life of 45 years, almost double my age. And now we get to use it to keep us warm in the winter and when we want a fire. So pretty cool to see that, and grateful to have trees like this, and just really cool to see the life of these trees with all the rings and stuff in them. So pretty awesome. But now it is time to get headed back to the cabin. We'll come back later and grab these logs that we just cut. They're obviously pretty wet from being in the tree, so they'll dry out a little bit. They also might get some precipitation on them, so not a huge deal, but next time we come up, we'll come grab them, cut them up, and throw them in our wood shelter. And then they'll really be able to dry out and be great firewood for when you need it. So just awesome stuff. I've been wanting to get this tree cleared for a while because this path has been blocked, and it's one that we often go on. And like I said, we have a tree stand up there, up in that tree. It's that white thing. That's just like a roof that we put on it. So we got to paint that, make it look all camo and stuff. But pretty cool up there. We've seen tons of animals. My brother shot a bear a couple years ago from that tree stand up there, right about where we're standing actually. And we've seen elk and moose and deer from up there. So just cool to sit up there for a while. You can even sleep up there. We made it big enough that 4 people can sleep in it. So pretty cool. We'll check that out in a future video, maybe work on it some more and make it a little bit nicer, but let's get headed back to the cabin. It's just such a beautiful morning. The sun's just barely peeking over the mountains, and it's obviously like barely over 30 degrees, so it's also freezing technically, but it just feels really good. The outdoor cowboy hoodie is keeping me plenty warm. I'm sweating. My problem was I was sweating into my glasses while I was trying to use the chainsaw. But definitely go get yourself an outdoor cowboy hoodie. They're super warm, and they're basically the coolest looking article of clothing I've ever seen before. So might be a little biased, but it's pretty sweet. But yeah, just awesome weather, awesome time to get some work done. So All right, we made it back. Awesome time up there. Glad we got that cleared. And I'm just super happy with how this thing turned out. I think it looks awesome. We got all of our wood stored there so we don't have any out in the elements anymore, because it should start snowing here pretty soon. So I'm glad to get it out of the elements, and it should work good for us to start a fire when we get up here to keep us warm. So awesome stuff, and we're gonna get it cleaned up. And I think my wife's awake, so we'll grab a little bit of breakfast and then we'll be on our way. Successful day. All right, like I said, for breakfast we got chocolate chip muffins, one of the greatest things ever, and then some milk. So got basically all the food groups that you need: sugar, carbs, and dairy. So should be delicious. And I've got this titanium mug that I love. I think it's from GSI Outdoors or something like that. I'll see if I can find it and link it below. But it's just got nice handles that fold on the back, and it just weighs like nothing. So I take this on a lot of my survival trips, and I just love it. Just as a little mug, whether to make some hot cocoa in or to hold your drink, hold some water, whatever it may be. Just something like this is awesome. And there are like super expensive mugs, but they do the exact same thing as a cheap mug does. So just go for the cheap mug. And I like this one because it has measurements on the outside, because sometimes if you have like a freeze-dried meal or something like that, it calls for a certain amount of water, and I don't bring measuring cups with me when I'm in the outdoors, so it's nice to have something like that on the side that you can use to either boil your water, know how much you need, rehydrate your food, something like that. So these things are awesome. All right, breakfast was delicious. Now let's get packed up and headed on out of here. Well, we had just a wonderful time here at the Off-Grid Cabin, so thanks for coming along. We got some awesome projects done. I'm super happy with how this thing turned out. It looks awesome. And it'll just be perfect for holding our wood, keeping it dry during the winter, and making it so we can just get up here and just know that we'll have some great wood to use for a fire. So super awesome. This thing's pretty much done. The only thing left to do is we should paint or stain it, at least something like that, just especially where it goes into the ground. Since it'll be so cold, since the next time we'll be able to get up here, should be fine, but we'll definitely want to stain in the future just to protect the wood and make sure that it stays strong and doesn't get frail or anything. So that'll be next. And I'm super glad we were able to get that tree cleared. That was awesome, and that will give us some good firewood. So we had just a wonderful time up here, good food, good times, and just beautiful weather that you can't complain about. So thanks for coming along with us, and it is time for us to get headed home. So let's get on the road. If you like this video, make sure to check out the Outdoor Cowboy YouTube channel. We've got new videos every week: survival adventures, camping projects, tool restorations, and a whole bunch more. Hit that like button, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.